Hey, we're here with Justin Roiland of Squanch Games, and we just checked out High on Life. Before we dig into it, why don't we give the folks a little overview of what exactly High on Life is?
Yeah, so High on Life is a game about humans being used as drugs, sold and used as drugs by aliens. And you play as a human, a kid, early, like I think like 19, a year out of high school, pretty aimless in life. And you end up at the right place at the right time, partnering with a living sentient gun named Kenny, who then, drags you out into the cosmos, and you become a bounty hunter. And you end up being the human that is tasked with taking down this alien drug cartel and saving humanity, which they perceive just as just drugs. It's interesting. There's a lot going on in this game. The art that I make is very non-political, but there are like interesting things being said about addiction in this game, which isn't political. It's just more of a societal thing. It's just interesting themes in this game that we're exploring. But at its core, it's a comedy, and built on the back of like really good, sticky shooter mechanics, upgrade tree, Metroidvania kind of skill, increasing your traversal skills, by way of cool upgrades and purchases, and then of course rescuing more guns that expand your abilities as well. But yeah, there's a lot to this thing. It's a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say it's a bit more ambitious as far as the scope as far as like compared to Trover?
Yeah, by a long shot. So Trover, we built. Obviously, that's a third-person action platformer, or first and third person, because you're there. So it's still a third person, whatever. But yeah, like that game, we built a suite of systems for narrative design. We're really kicking the tires on like, how do we, I don't know, it's nothing new, but it's like, I always really love when NPCs and characters of games are really aware of me, and they're just like surprising me with like, if I do this, and then all of a sudden, what the fuck, holy shit, they thought of that? So like Trover was a lot of that, and then we built systems to support that, and then going into this game, I feel like we really like turned it all the way to like 11, because there's so much going on narrative design wise, and when the game's really like firing on all cylinders, it's very surreal, because the gun is reacting to things you're doing in real time, during gameplay, and it just feels very fluid, real. The gun feels alive. It feels like it's crazy what we've been able to achieve, I think, in this game. Where we started with Trover, I think we've come to a whole new level of it here. And then it's not just one gun. It's there's like, so it'd be like Trover with like 5 or like 4 other Trovers, basically, or technically, I guess, yeah, we have 5 guns total, but one well, you'll see. I don't want to not spoil anything, but yeah, so like, imagine that game, but you could switch out the Trover, and it would be a different personality, completely different dialogue for every single instance in the game. It's a different game, though. It's a shooter, different than. But I mean, it's funny because I still get caught up with like Trover technically is a first-person game, because you're, what I mean? Like, kind of, it's weird, but it's third-person too. I don't know.
A lot of it's Trover had a very improvised tone to it, and like we saw some improvisational dialogue like in our thing, but I also noticed like things kind of seemed more narrative, like this narrative is stronger this time around. Like there's more scripted stuff going on. Is that accurate? And is there a reason that you went that direction?
Yes, it's accurate. Our head writer, Alec Robbins, has just been kicking ass, like just incredible. And it kind of needed to be this way, I think, because of the fact that, like on Trover, because I did, like, the truth is, I temped a lot of shit in Trover, right? I went in and just to get us to a place where we had a block-in of the whole game, I just went and temped everything. And then we ended up like just leaving so much of that temp in as final. because it was like everything was on fire, and we're like, well, this is fine. People like this is working, and like all of this other shit is broken. So, you know, what are you gonna do? Go change the thing that isn't a problem? Like, so it ended up being me doing way more voices than I ever thought I would do in Trover. Like I'm like so many NPCs. I'm Trover. I'm all the enemies. But I guess what that bought us was like I just was going in. I knew what the level was. I knew what the story was. But I just was going in and riffing. And on this game, we couldn't do it. I was like, it wouldn't work because I couldn't be every gun. I couldn't be every enemy. I didn't want to be. You know, I wanted this to have more, like just way more. I want it to be a little less loose. Trover's fun, and that's how it should be. Loose and stupid, and let's get drunk and record, and who cares? And it's great. And there's something magical about that in video games. Like I would love a game. I'd love more like that, where it's like, oh, look at how loose and stupid we were. And then we built all this tech in a game around it. I think that's funny and weird. But in this game, yeah, it wouldn't have worked that way because there's just so much going on, so much more going on. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned not being able to do all the voices and everything like that. Like right away, you've got like some well-known actors like in the first couple of scenes there. Like they told me that was Laura Silverman playing your character's sister. Yeah. Like, are you like, yeah, do you have a lot of cameos like that, or like, you know, who can you talk about who's on the cast?
We have a pretty incredible cast, and I'm gonna forget people because there's so many. Like Laura Silverman, I keep forgetting to mention. She's incredible as the sister, and she's throughout, you know, she's like a big part of, you know, the game, so way more than a cameo. She's like, she recorded a lot. We have, like for the guns, it's like, you know, Tim Robinson is a gun, JB Smoove is a gun, Betsy Sidaro is also a gun, and then just names like Tom Kenny, Jennifer Hale, Nolan North, some really interesting ones. What's his, I know his name from Kids in the Hall, Kevin McDonald, Andy Daly from Review, if you've ever seen that. I'm gonna forget amazing people. There's just, it's like we really do have like Maurice LaMarche is in the game. I said Tom Kenny, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's so many, and it's like I always forget, and then I'll think later, like, oh my god, I keep forgetting to mention. There's always like, and then there's always like my like all of the people I love to work with constantly as much as I can. So like I got everybody in this. I got Bache, I got Zach Adele's in it, Rob Schraub's in it, Michael Cusack as Knifey, I got Ovid in there, I got like the guys from Red Letter Media are in there, my buddy Joel Haver, his buddy Trent. Like Joel does so much in this game. It's crazy how many voices he did. But there's just a lot of good, funny people in this game. Echo Kellum is in it. Oh my God, Maria Bamford's in it. I mean, I could go on. It's just like a really insane cast of people, like just all throughout the game.
Awesome. The other thing I noticed is the world seemed very developed. There's a lot of detail in the environments, and just the character designs and everything. Like there just seems to be a lot of work into making things look like a living, breathing world this time around. Because obviously, like not being kind of hamstrung by the limitations of VR, we could kind of turn the knobs up, you know. And on current gen stuff, it's crazy what you can do. So yeah, it really does look incredible. I mean, I was like, even at Block-In, I was like, wow, you know, and Mikey's like, this is nothing compared to what it's going to end up being. So yeah, it's beautiful. It's and then it's just more, there's more life. There's more shit you can do. I remember even in Trover with like the limitations of VR, which hopefully will continue getting less and less, and we'll start to get to VR that's, you know, even better. But we couldn't even have, like, there was a number of like enemies that we couldn't go past or something. It was like crazy stuff like that. That's like old school gaming restrictions, you know, where you're like, holy shit. But yeah, no, I'm in love with the way it looks. And we have like sections
obviously we're only showing this one part, but there are there's like so much diversity in like the different planets and locations within the planets. So much cool stuff like that you get to explore and poke around in as you play through it. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So the other thing, we were told you have like full-length movies inside of this game that you just watch. Like we spent some time in the demo just watching like the TV commercials and shows that were on that first little screen. But you could just sit there and watch a whole film, possibly.
Yeah. So we licensed 4 full-length movies from Vinegar Syndrome, which is a company that dabbles in some of the more culty B movies, so bad they're good kind of category. They do other stuff too, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it would be funny. I was like, God, it'd be really funny if we just had like human movies on the TV, but they're human movies, because the aliens are just like, check out these fucking weirdos that we just discovered. And this crap that they're making, there's a host, sort of like an Elvira type, but he's dressed like a human. He's got a human costume on, and clearly he's an alien. And each movie has like a full, commercial break segments and bumpers from the host, and there's a lot, dude. And 4 full-length movies that you can watch on the TV. And like one of them's Tammy and the T-Rex, which is, I don't know if you know, but it's like, it's like just a hilarious cult, like just a weird fucking movie. And it's the guy that did Mac and Me, the director of Mac and Me. But we got that movie, which is so funny to have that in our game. That whole movie is in our game. It's like fucking bizarre. It's very, very crazy. And then we have a ton of, like interdimensional cable style, like sketches and weird content that sort of plays during, like they're kind of more like commercial in between the movies, but then there's a bunch of stuff out in the world that only plays out in the world and doesn't play on the TV. That's like crazy, weird stuff. Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, obviously you guys have been working on High on Life for a while now. Like, how did the pandemic affect development of the game, if at all?
Yeah, so it was interesting. I had heard, like, I can't remember the name of the studio that does Ori and the Blind Forest. Do you know their name off the top of your head?
Moon
Blanking. Do you know? No. We all know them, but I had heard forever ago, before the pandemic, that they were a distributed studio. So essentially working distributed like development. Everyone worked from home, and they had that's how they did it. They would check in their work from home and stuff. And I always thought that was really interesting. But I was like, that'd be cool to do, but who's got the time, to deal with changing all that? And then COVID hit, and it was like, oh shit. I guess we're switching to this new distributed. And we had about a month. We probably it was real, I'd say a month lost of time, because not all at once, but it was sort of just a month of just figuring out what do we do, how do we do it. Slowed down, things slowed down because we had to figure it out. But once we kind of had it figured out, man, it's been way better for the studio's culture. I felt, it was culturally, I feel like we're all one happy team now, because when we do the company meetings, everyone's on Zoom, we're all together. It's not like 2 separate locations connecting, from boardrooms. I always felt like that was such a weird, because you have one culture over there, one culture over here. Now it's just, we're all together, but you know what I mean? And also we polled everybody. We're like, we can go back to the office, who wants to work from home? And it was unanimous. Everyone's like, this is it. I was like, yeah, I agreed. I can get more done in a day than I've ever been able to. I'm just blown away. It took something like this to kind of make us realize we can, not everyone, but we can get TV, video games, or animation, video games. It's all just people on computers, pretty much. And Zoom is where did this thing come from? Zoom, all of a sudden, it's I know, it blew up. I was like, how did this become? It works, I guess, but yeah. So it's been actually really good for the studio and great for me, because I can book a day of meetings and I don't have to have the travel time baked in. I can jump from meeting to meeting and get so much more done. It's great. But yeah, I've been great at the studio.
Awesome. So, High and Life, first-person shooter, you've got some action platforming aspects to it. When we were talking earlier, Metroid Prime was brought up as an influence in like some of those, some of the dialogue choices you had in the game. You mentioned like early BioWare games like KOTOR and stuff like that. I'm curious, what other games have influenced the development of High and Life?
Oh man, that's a tough one because. Well, okay. So one I can reference directly influenced is Far Cry 5's DLC, the Mars, like with the jetpack. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, so that was an influence for sure because I just was like bewildered by the fact that there's no upgrade tree for that jetpack. You know what I mean? I was like so into that game. And when I found out, no, that's it. That's the jetpack. I mean, I think there was maybe one upgrade. I can't remember. It was just like, oh yeah, you could upgrade it, but it was like, I wanted more. I wanted like fuel upgrades. I wanted to like get that jetpack to the point where I'm like, if I put the time in, I'm like, I'm like God now. I can fly, but I can fly for like 2 minutes straight. That wasn't what they were going for, I guess. But like, I didn't finish it because I just really wanted I was like so brokenhearted that there wasn't like an upgrade tree for the jetpack. But anyway, the jetpack thing was, I was like on a hunt for games with jetpacks and nobody really was doing it. So I was like, we have to fucking have a jetpack in this game. So that was an early days, like sort of consideration. So it's not available in what we're showing off now, but it's one of the cool traversal upgrades that come in the game and that comes in the game. But yeah, I think like a lot of the older games, like, even something like BioShock, there's stuff going on in that game that is, that we're very fond of. I mean, it's like, that going back to the days of old, the classic, awesome single player adventure, narrative driven with upgrades and like, just I'm missing those kinds of games right now. I feel like there's good stuff out there, obviously, like all the time. If you take the time to look, there's always good stuff. Both indie, a lot of indie stuff is really amazing. But yeah, like I feel like that. I feel like like the old BioWare stuff with like the dialogue trees, like choices, impacting like events in game. But it's just like cool, fun stuff to see in game. I mean, it's not like I want to say like we haven't reinvented we haven't like. I don't think we're doing anything that hasn't been done, but we're just doing stuff that we love and mixing all this different stuff together. And then really like, I guess maybe even Talking Guns. I mean, I think I keep hearing I haven't seen it myself, but I guess there's a gun in God, what am I saying? Borderlands. I guess there's a gun that talks in Borderlands, but I think what I keep hearing is it was more of a joke and not really like fully like what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I guess I get that is kind of a crazy, I don't know, like the whole time I was like, we're developing this, I was just waiting for the Talking Gun game to, like, I was like, someone's going to announce a Talking Gun. There's going to be a trailer that's going to drop any day. Because it's happened to me before where I'm thick in development on something that's like so obvious. I'm like, this is such an obvious thing. How has nobody done this before? And then, boom, there it is. And I'm like, fuck, all right. Okay, let's regroup. But no, yeah, I was waiting for this. I thought it was gonna happen. I was like convinced. I was like, it's gonna be somebody's gonna do it. Dude, have you seen the squirrel with a gun game?
Yes.
It's fucking okay, that's another example. It's like, I mean, we weren't making that or going to, but I had the idea of like, it wasn't a squirrel, but it was like a little like tiny animal with a full size gun. I remember thinking about it. But anyway, that game looks so fucking good. I cannot wait. I'm just glad someone made it because, yeah, it's like, let's play it. Let's play the shit out of that. But yeah, I think, what was the question even? I'm all over the place with this.
Influence.
Oh yeah, influences. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton. I've played so many fucking games. I mean, I'm like a huge gamer, so I think my head is just full of like game design, game theory, without even knowing it. I picked up on so much stuff from all the, God only knows how many hours of gaming I mean, I used to literally play for, like, when I had like breaks in between shows back when I was doing like reality TV, like, segment producing and all the crap I did before I broke into animation, like I would have breaks in between shows. Like I'd have 2 months off, and I would be doing 2 things. I'd be making my own content, cartoons and whatever. I would do that during work too, work weekends and nights. But when I had a break, I would just game for like 14 days nonstop. I'd stay up all night, every night. I'd go to sleep when the sun came up. I'd wake up whenever my body let me, and I would get back. And it was just it's a ridiculous amount of games I've played over the years, and I would constantly have those periods of time where I could do it. So I don't know. There's so much shit in my head that comes out in different ways in the game, I think. So influences, there's a lot, but yeah, it's like for this one probably the Metroidvania kind of stuff, and the fun first-person platforming stuff that is in Prime and that other people have done really well. We wanted to do that stuff really well, and then we wanted to give people traversal skills that made that stuff even more fun, you know. But yeah, there's more, I'm sure, but I'm forgetting, you know.
Man, well, High on Life, it's looking really ambitious.
For us, yeah. For us, it is, yeah. For a little indie dev, yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. But it's coming together. Yeah, it's working.
Nice. When are you? Have you announced the launch date yet, or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, I know it's in December. Do we have a date?
13th.
December 13th. You heard it here first. I literally didn't know. Yeah, December 13th is the date. We did have. It's funny. We had a date October, and then for a number of reasons it got moved to December. It's so funny because we announced at E3 in June, October, whatever it was, and then like a month. It's like everyone's like, what? One of my friends, he's like, why'd you change your date like 2 weeks after or a month after you announced it? It's like, why not just what happened but in a month, you know, whatever. But anyway, yeah, so December 13th it'll be on Game Pass, Steam, Epic Game Store. Yeah.
It's just in time for Christmas.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad can go out there, have it under the tree for the kids.
Yeah. Under the tree, it'll just be a little note that says, we got you, we downloaded. There's not a physical copy on December 13th yet. But digitally, yeah, it'll be on Game Pass, or you can buy it on Xbox if you don't have Game Pass, and then and then Steam and Epic Game Store if you're a PC gamer. Yeah, we just hope we sell a bunch, you know, or like, you know, we hope that all we could hope for at the studio is just a nice revenue stream so we can keep making stuff. That's kind of the dream, you know, get a revenue stream pouring in so that we can just keep going, making cool shit, and not have to go and pitch, you know, to get money constantly, you know.
Don't have to go to EA and put a bunch of trading card packs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the publisher route. I mean, we've been very lucky that we've been able to partner with like the platform owners or holders, you know, like Microsoft and Sony, and in the past Sony, and like and maybe probably again with Sony, but like, you know, those partnerships are really rewarding and great, and that would be our best case scenario, you know, or sorry, our second best. First best would be a nice revenue stream, and then we can just go and make whatever. Second best, we've had a really positive experience partnering with like Microsoft, and Microsoft's been incredible on this game. So, you know, we couldn't be happier to have partnered with them. It's just been phenomenal, especially as a small studio. Like, they're like, make your game. It's been phenomenal. But so those kind of things we're very grateful for and appreciative, and, you know, if we have to do that again, that's fine. But it would be amazing to just have the like treasure chest to just make crazy shit. You know what I mean? Because we have a lot of stuff we want to make, and so yeah, we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. I think this one's gonna do well just based off of the initial, knock on wood. Is this even really wood? What is this? It's fucking fake. It's fucking aluminum. No. Yeah, I hope it does well, because it seems like the response so far is quite different from Trover, which was like nobody knew Trover existed. People still don't know it exists. So yeah, this one at least getting some good response. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for talking with us today.
Yeah.
Where can folks go if they want to find out more information on High on Life?
squanchgames.com. Yeah, like squanchgames.com. All the socials, Squanch Games on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Yeah, we've got constantly putting fun, weird shit out there. But yeah, all the info you could ever hope to find, I think, would be on squanchgames.com in regards to the game.
All right.
I think.
Well, people can go there and look, and they'll find out for themselves.